What's up guys, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 stages that somebody goes through if they decide to live in a country that's different from their culture and the process that they go through by the time they get home. So the first of the 5 stages that you're going to be going through is going to be the honeymoon phase. Now, in the honeymoon phase, for me, I'll use me as an example. I went to South Korea and I was really excited in August of 2018. I'm like, oh yo, new culture, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be a lot of fun to go through this. I'm 24, I want to travel, I want to meet new people, I want to start new businesses and gain new experiences. I packed my bags, I was excited to go, I was ready to meet new friends and, you know, just live in a new culture, excited to teach, all that jazz, see new places. And when I got there, it was a lot of fun, it was everything that I expected it to be. But then the honeymoon phase kind of starts to phase out after a month or two. And the second stage that you're going to go through is called culture shock and recovery. So with the culture shock and recovery phase, obviously everybody knows what culture shock is. You get there and then everything's not really what you expected it to be. You're kind of learning the cultural norms. And I actually don't really communicate with too many people in person because I can't. This is kind of my fault because I'm not really learning Korean that much. And you know, you're trying to adapt to your environment. I remember I went through a lot of mistakes, especially when it came to my work. You know, working with Koreans, and I didn't really know much about Korean culture, and I made mistakes here or there, said the wrong thing sometimes that could have been offensive. So I had to learn that as I went. And it's kind of embarrassing. I don't want to talk about the mistakes that I made, but maybe in another video. But anyways, you go through culture shock. Things aren't necessarily the way they were back home, and it takes some time to adapt and to recover from the culture shock. So I kind of felt this maybe 3 months through, and it did take a while. It took maybe like a month or so, a month and a half in order for me to get through this phase, but it is a little bit painful. And a lot of people, when they do experience culture shock very, very deeply, they decide to you know, midnight run. They just buy a ticket and they leave. They go home without telling anybody because the culture shock is too much. I know a lot of people that were in Korea at the time had gone through this phase and they thought about quitting too. So it's a very tough phase for people to get through, but it is possible and you will make it out the side very, very fine. So the third step is going to be the adjustment and the honeymoon period again. So once you're done adjusting, the culture shock is behind you, you've adjusted to the culture, you know the norms, you know what to do, not what to do, you've expanded your circle, you know how to travel, you know where to go, you know how to adapt to your surroundings and all that jazz. You made friends. You can either, you know, adapt and stay in that culture, or you can look forward to going back home, because what happens is a lot of people say like, you know, it's not new anymore, I'm tired of it, you know, I want to try new things, I want to explore, I want to go back home because I miss my family. All those things can be a factor in why people would want to go back home. So
see, there's a South Korean flag over there. And literally, I just got back from South Korea and can't escape me, bro. What can I say?
Then you start romancing and thinking about, oh, when I go back home, it's gonna be a lot of fun. You know, I miss the foods I would eat at home. I miss my friends back home. I miss A, B, C, D. These are all these thoughts that would be going in your head about what home is going to be like once you get back. And stage number 4 would be reverse culture shock and recovery. So with this stage, what happens is the assumption is that you have gone back home and you are done living in whatever country you're living in, and so you're going to experience a reverse culture shock, especially if you've been in that country for an extended period of time. So for me, for example, like I was away for 1 year and coming back home, it was definitely a long period of time. It didn't feel like I was gone for a year. It felt actually much shorter than that. But when I came back, I ended up going to Africa first. I went to Zambia to visit my family and friends there, and then I went to Canada right after, maybe about 10 days or so, less than 2 weeks. And so there's a lot of like reverse culture shock that was going on at the time, being living in Asia and then going to Africa, then to Canada. But I remember one time I actually was in Canada and I was like, oh my god, I remember that store. Oh yeah, I remember this. And I remember going to a restaurant and then just seeing, you know, people that weren't Asian, and I was like, oh my god, so many like non-Asian people here. And it just hit me. It was a weird feeling. And like, I know it sounds ridiculous to say that like on camera, being like, what are you talking about? You see white people and you felt weird. And it's like, yeah, I did. Like, I just was so used to just seeing Korean people everywhere, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you know, now you're back to a multicultural society, which was cool. But it was definitely a weird feeling, and it's very, very hard to adapt and change. That recovery period for me took maybe 3 or 4 months, honestly, to get back to feeling normal again. You know, a lot of people that did meet me the first period when I came back thought I was being a little different or strange, but it was normal, and it's definitely a phase that a lot of people do go through. It's hard to adapt because you've been away for so long and your mind is kind of like used to what life was when you were abroad or when you're away in a different country that's in a culture different from yours. So it does take a while to adjust, and a lot of people say like, no, I want to go back, I made a mistake coming back home. So this is going to be a very, very tough period, and I feel like I've kind of just gotten over it, but not really. And the last stage that I'm going to talk about now is just adaptation. So with this stage, some people adapt. They decide, you know what, this is what life is going to be like from now on. I want to stay home. I want to do this. I'm going to continue living life like the way I was before I left in the first place. Get the regular job that you used to do before, have the same friends, do ABC like the way it was prior. Or some people, they want to adapt in a different way. They decide, hey, you know what, I'm deciding I'm just going to go back, or I'm deciding I want to seek new adventure and do something similar or something completely different. So people would learn to adapt in many different ways. But that's just pretty much it in terms of the 5 stages of cultural adaptation when it comes to moving to a different country. So let me know what you guys thought. I thought it would be a nice way to kind of wrap up the whole epic experience the best way that I could, and I hope this video was valuable in one way, shape, or form. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching this video, guys. Stay dreaming, stay chasing. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.